What's up guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be going over my entire manga collection again because it's very different from the way it was last time I did this, and it's something I just want to do every year, like just as an update, even just for myself, so I can see where I was at with my, specific stages of my collection. So we're going to go through everything that's back there. Those shelves are going to get really empty really quick because obviously it's a lot of my setup. So we're just gonna go through it, no particular order, I think I'm gonna go maybe down shelves, and we'll go that way. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. All right, so I got everything off of the very top shelf and then this like secondary shelf. And then I have a couple things that are new that I'm very excited about because they're very rare and well, maybe not rare, but like hard for me to acquire. And I'm very excited because they add a little bit more flair to my manga collection. But I'll just go ahead and start. I have a stack right here. We're gonna start with Attack on Titan, volume 33 and 34. I got these because I specifically remember going into Barnes & Noble to buy these when I was in college, and the final season part 2 had just ended, and I thought they were gonna actually finish the series. And then they didn't, so I said, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna wait. So I went to Barnes & Noble, picked up volume 33 and 34, and I finished Attack on Titan, because I was like, I'm sick of waiting. And honestly, I don't think the ending's that bad. I really don't. I understand why some people don't like it, and I've seen the complaints with it, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think it was that bad. So that's Attack on Titan. I'm rewatching it right now, actually, so we'll see if my opinion on the ending changes. I also have Blue Box 1, 2, and 3. I have not picked up any more of Blue Box, which is kind of unfortunate because I watched the anime and I really liked it, right? And then I got through it and I was like, well, maybe I don't need to continue the manga. Like, I'll just wait for the anime. I don't know what inspired that change of heart. What you'll also notice throughout this video is I think on average, I have less manga this time around than I did last time. And that's just because 1, I was running out of space, and 2, I just don't have the same financial means to keep getting manga the same way I did. So I think that's why stuff like Blue Box has kind of slipped through the cracks of like, well, I don't need to keep buying this one. If anything, I'll just read it on the Shonen Jump app because I have a subscription and that's only $2 a month. But Blue Box is good. If you haven't watched the anime, you should watch the anime. It has an anime now, which makes sense because that's what I said. It is good. I enjoyed it. I also have to be really selective with my time and what I have time to actually continue reading and continue on after I finish stuff. So next up is a one-off that, whoopsies, I still haven't read, my bad, and that's Frieren Volume 7. This is where the anime left off, and I need to read it because I really love Frieren, I do, but I just haven't had the time or the motivation to sit down and be like, oh, let me pick this up, let me get Frieren, kind of because I put it on the shelf way up high and I put figures in front of it, and I think that's also why I don't read as much of my manga as I probably should, because I put like figures on it and all that stuff, and it looks really nice, so then I don't want to touch it. And it looks great, makes for a great backdrop for videos, especially when I'm talking about anime all the time. And it looks great, but then I'm like, oh, I don't want to touch them because there's stuff in the way. Another one that I really want to read that I haven't read is Kagurabachi. This is like the one that I guess everyone was memeing on it for a while. But I've heard it's actually kind of good. So we'll see. I'll get to it eventually. My goal this year is to read every manga volume that I own because I haven't, and I really need to. So Kagurabachi's on that list. I've heard it's good, and I bought the first volume like Lord knows how long ago, and I still haven't read it, but it's fine. This is not with the rest of its kind because of how I was sorting everything, but we have My Hero Academia Vigilantes, which also has an anime now. So I have the first 4 volumes here. Have I read them? No. Should I? Yeah. Am I getting to a point where I could just wait and watch the anime? Yeah. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't read them. So I'm enjoying the Vigilantes anime. I think it's great. I need to read it. This is the problem, is like I buy manga like this for series that didn't have an anime when I bought them, but then got an anime. So then I get stuck of like, well, should I read it, or should I like read it because I have it, or should I just watch the anime when it comes out? I don't know. So I do want to read it though. I've heard it's good, and the anime is good so far. So I'm not like too pressed about it. So that's the first stack. I'm gonna go, let's see if I can slide this over without it falling. Oh my goodness, it did. So these two are ones I haven't read, but I picked them up at a local like bookstore because I thought they looked interesting, and the art was kind of like, they're definitely old. Like the pages are a little older, but it's Orphan. I'm not entirely sure how to say that. The premise seemed really cool. I liked the art style because I like got it and I flipped through it and I'm like, oh, that's a cool art style. The premise seems interesting. So I picked up volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 2 is the one that really made me want to get it because I like that art style. I think it looks good. So we'll see. I'm gonna get to it eventually and read it, but it's kind of been sitting on my shelf for over a year now. So maybe I'll get to it one day and update you guys on what I think, but that's that. So there's those two. Those are in a stack of their own. And then, okay, so I have the first 2 volumes of this series, right? You guys might have seen it. You might have slipped the camera. If not, I don't know. And I kind of like, I regret having them done this way, and I'll explain why in a second. Well, I'll just tell you. It's One Piece, right? I have the first 2 volumes of One Piece, and I regret having them this way because they've done like those collection, like the not omnibus, but like the collection volumes where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all bundled together instead of having a ton of like the singles, which is why I haven't gotten any more. This was also, I got volume 2 before I started watching the anime because I thought, well, maybe I'll just read through it instead. I'm glad I'm watching it. I do need to watch more. I haven't started Water 7 yet. Well, that's a lie. I've watched the first episode, but I haven't like gotten into the actual saga. I'm like on the first episode of Long Ring Long Land, but I've heard the manga is really good. It does a much better job about cutting out the filler. So maybe at some point, if I find the filler gets bad, I'll just jump over to the manga. Because like I said, I have a Shonen Jump subscription. It's all on there. I can just binge read through it and then go back and watch the anime. But I do have the first 2 volumes of One Piece. This one, my friend got me for Christmas a couple years ago, and he just kind of slipped it onto my manga shelf because he dropped off some other stuff while I wasn't here, and he stuck this volume on my shelf, and I didn't notice for like a week. And then I was looking through like trying to pick something to read one night, and I saw One Piece on there. I'm like, I didn't buy this. And granted, I still haven't read it, so sorry, man. I'll read it eventually. So yeah, I have the first 2 volumes of One Piece, which is pretty sick. I'll probably read them eventually. Another series I have the first 2 volumes of that I want to read, but I might again just switch to the Shonen Jump app, is Mission Yozakura Family. I really loved this anime, and I want to actually go back and read the manga because I heard there was some stuff that they took out of the manga and like shifted everything around in the anime. So I want to go back and reread it and just see how that all plays out and see how it works out. Because I also really love Taiyo and Mutsumi, and you know, romance and action. You got me sold. I'm in from day one. That's that about that. I don't have much to say else about Yozakura Family. As you notice, there's a trend here where I'm like, maybe instead of buying the volume, I'll just switch to the Shonen Jump app. And that's not to say that I don't like physically collecting manga. I do, I really do. But I'm at a point in life where it's like, I'm running out of shelf space. I don't got the funds for manga. So maybe in the future when I have, you know, more space, maybe another bookshelf I can use for manga, get some more risers and stuff, then we can talk about like expanding the collection out. But as of right now, it's kind of just become, let me prioritize what I want to read physically, and everything else can just be digital. So another one that I desperately need to read and was kind of saving to read until this point was My Hero Academia Team Up Mission. I only have the first volume. I know the last one just got a cover and I think just came out in Japan, and it's volume 8. So it's not a super long series, and I like it because it's just more My Hero content that I haven't read. So now that, you know, the main series is over, Vigilantes, the manga is over, we've gotten, you know, our bonus chapter and our one-shot for My Hero. Like, so My Hero is like actually kind of done now, and the anime will be over by the end of the year. I think it's about time I actually sit down and go through Team Up Mission, and just so I have more content, because I love My Hero. It's my favorite, like, you know, anime, favorite manga series. So I've heard the Team Up Missions are good. They're kind of wacky. They're kind of out there, but you know what? I've heard it's good, so I'll give it a watch. Or not a watch, a read, lol. And then these three I haven't read, and I'm honestly kind of debating. They may not survive another year. Let's just put it that way. And that is Sakamoto Days. I have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. I got them from a used bookstore, I think for like $5 a piece. So it was only $15. And they're all still like really good condition. Like I looked at them at the store and I was like, these are practically brand new. Like, these are brand new. And I got them half off basically. And like none of the pages were damaged or anything. Like, it was great. And I read through the first volume and I really liked it. That was a lot of what I did for my Sakamoto Days video. It came from Volume 1 because the anime wasn't out yet and I wanted to like be a little ahead of the curve on that video. And I read it and I was like, okay, this is good. Like I see the Christian perspective on it. And then I started watching the anime and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I don't know if it's like just how the anime is animated or how they did the art style or what. I don't know. I also think Sakamoto Days, and maybe this is just me and I'm gonna get destroyed and obliterated in the comments for this. Sakamoto Days to me is too similar to Spy Family. It feels like I'm reading kind of a similar thing, but it's not done as well, at least in my opinion. So I like Spy Family a lot more than Sakamoto Days, so I'll stick with that. Speaking of Spy Family, look what's next. Spy Family. Why is that? Is it because they're similar series? I don't know. Is it just a coincidence that these two things happen to be on the same shelf together? I don't know. It could be. Who's to say? I think it's also because it's SP and that's SA and I don't have another S to go there. So yeah, anyway. I have Spy Family 7 through 11, 7 through 9 of which are the only ones I've actually read. And I like Spy Family. I've talked about Spy Family at length on this channel just because I think it's an incredible series and I really love the comedy and the humor, and I think it also has that very pro-family vibes that I've been looking for a long time, and I'm, you know, not getting from Western media at all anymore. So Spy Family's good. I need to read these 2 volumes that I haven't read because season 3 is coming and I want to read it all before season 3 gets here. But yeah, that's this. All right, that's almost the end. I got a little bit more and then we get to move on to the big shelf there. Sometimes you don't realize how heavy manga is, right? Like, I've looked back at this shelf before and I've noticed that they all kind of like sag in the middle and I'm like, oh, that's weird. And having the risers kind of helps because it's not as much of the weight on, you know, one shelf, or at least it's a little better distributed. But you never realize how heavy manga is until you put a bunch of volumes on the shelf. And that is also the case for manhwa, which probably the best manhwa I have, at least my personal favorite, Solo Leveling. Season 2 got me back into the manhwa, and I mean, I even started reading the manhwa before the anime had caught up in season 2, because what, volume 7 starts with the attack on Jeju Island, and I was like here after episode 2. I was like, all right, we're going back, because I borrowed volume 4 through 6 from one of my church friends who I'm watching Solo Leveling with, and then I went out and picked up volume 7. So this is, volume 7 is where my collection starts. And then I also have volume 8, which is also very good. I love the covers and I love the art for Solo Leveling. I think even the art in the manhwa is really good. I love the art style and just, it's so good. I love it, dude. Oh, I love Solo. Here's the thing though. So volume 8, I finished volume 8 and then I thought, okay, let's read volume 9. I got no volume 9 here for you. Because it was a moment of weakness, okay? As someone who heralds physical media, this was a moment of weakness. I was a little too lazy, I didn't want to go out to the store, I didn't want to wait for Amazon to ship it, so I bought volume 9 digitally. So I actually don't have it on me. It was a moment of weakness, okay? I shouldn't have done it. I'll go back and buy volume 9 at some point physically when it's on sale or something on Amazon, right? But then, I talked about this a little bit on the podcast. If you listen to the Nerdiest podcast, go do that. I took a trip to Canada with my mom, just, you know, for a fun mother-son trip. It was a great time while we were there. I went in a bookstore and I bought volume 10 of Solo Leveling because I needed something to read on the plane ride back. And I also bought volume 11, which you can see has a bookmark in it because I'm actively reading it. So technically, even though for distribution purposes, they're literally the same, but these are technically Canadian copies of Solo Leveling 10 and 11. So that's just a fun little fact. Not my entire collection is from the US, which is not, well, I guess that was already not true for some stuff I'm gonna get to here in a second. But yes, I do have Solo Leveling. I will keep buying it and continue buying it as it comes out. It is my favorite manhwa and is very quickly becoming one of my favorite anime and just getting up there in terms of my favorite series. Is it very simplistic and aura farmy and, you know, just all about the action? Sure. That's fine though, okay? This does not have to be the, you know, deep intellectual piece that Attack on Titan is, or have any, like, you know, deep philosophical blah, 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 blah. It can literally just be action, and that's okay. And it's better than 99% of the other, like, self-insert power fantasy, manhwa, and isekai, and all that. So I'll take Solo Leveling any day over any of those. And then the last three I have, before I get to these super special ones, is I have the first 3 volumes hardcover of Fullmetal Alchemist. And it is one series that I would love to have the entire thing physically, because my thing is, like, and I kind of treat this with all of my, like, DVDs and stuff, what you can see down there, which I'll do a whole video on that again at some point, is my favorite series, I want to own as much physical as I can. And Fullmetal Alchemist has been in my top 3 anime of all time for, gosh, 5 years, 6 years? Like, it's been a while. My top 3 of Fullmetal, Demon Slayer, and My Hero from 3 to 1 has been pretty consistent. So I try to, like, have some form of that physically, and it's really hard to find the Blu-rays for Fullmetal Alchemist. So the second best thing I could do was to get the hardcover versions of the manga. And of course, I also have Volume 3, courtesy of my friend who also got me One Piece. So I do want to get more. These hardcovers are a little hard to find in store. I'm not a big, like, buy manga online, and that's not because I don't, well, no, it is because I don't trust online, because listen, I see Amazon drivers who show up and they just, and they chuck your thing across the street and it lands, and I'm like, no. If I'm paying $20 for you to deliver this hardcover book to me, you better, like, gently place it on my doorstep, not and just chuck it across the street. So I also think there's just something special about buying stuff in person and just being there, especially when it's something like physical media like this. So yeah, I have the first 3 volumes of Fullmetal Alchemist hardcover. I think these might be some of my favorites that I own. So I do want to get more eventually. Where they'll go on the shelf, I'm not entirely sure. Now, here is the part I've really been looking forward to ever since I got these and brought them into the collection. I'm sure you've seen at least 2 of them in video backgrounds before, but what I do want to show is I have a friend who was getting rid of these and was like, hey, I know you're a collector, like, let me send you these because I know, like, you'll take care of them. And it is the Weekly Shonen Jump magazine. Like, this is the actual magazine for some of the final chapters of My Hero. I think, what chapter was this? Ooh, something fell out. That's no bueno. So, like, you can see it's got all of, like, the Japanese stuff inside. It's, like, legit. Like, this is the Shonen Jump volume. Yeah, this was chapter 419 is the one that's in this one. So this is really cool. I also love this art. This is one of my favorite art pieces Horikoshi's done. So I have this one, which is, I think, issue 19 from 2024. But then I also have, he also sent me this one, which is issue 35, that is also like some of My Hero's final chapters, which I think this one would have been 429. Yeah, so this was the second to last Shonen Jump with My Hero in it. And then I also have this one, which is issue 36 and 37, that has, you know, the actual final chapter of My Hero in it, which is in here somewhere. It was a little further back, I think. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. They had the double spread in here, I think. Let me see. Oh yeah, yeah. There we go. It's a little hard to like do with one hand, but they've got the double spread for 430. So not that I can read any of it because it's all in Japanese, but it is just really cool to have these like 3 Shonen Jump mags that have, you know, some of My Hero's final chapters, like unedited for volumes and all that kind of stuff. Like these are the, on release day, these are what was printed. So this is a really cool thing to have in my collection. But also, I bought these back in, I think, November, December. And it's the Japanese version of volume 1 for My Hero, which also I found out that in Japan, they have like, these are just sleeves, right? And then there's a completely different like cover on the inside. And this was all like the concept art for the main cast. And these are just like sleeves that you can take off, which is so interesting that they don't do that here, like when they get localized, because you look at, you know, like covers like this, that's a book cover. That's not, you know, a sleeve that goes over it. So I do have volume 1 of My Hero, but then I also have volume 42, the final volume. I got the Japanese version, one, because I just think it's like, I don't know, there's something special to me about this series, because I love My Hero. There's just something so special about the way these two covers parallel each other. I mean, even on the back, oh no! Oh, I dropped it, my bad. Even on the back, like how these two, you know, oh, I almost dropped it again. These two parallel each other on the back. There's just something so special about the parallels between these two covers, but also volume 42, as we all know, has that ever coveted, ever forgotten about, much scrutinized final bonus chapter of 431. So I really wanted to see that in person with my own like eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't show any of it because I know it's all technically still spoilers. I did want to like be able to see it and not have to wait until freaking October to get the English translation. So I don't know. I like being able to have these. That's why you see volume 42 back up there on my shelf behind me in every video, because this is probably my favorite thing I own currently, at least in terms of manga. So yeah, we'll get to the more of my My Hero collection in a bit. But even like, look at that. Look at how like that parallels itself. Like, oh, it's so good. So that is everything I have right now. And I'm gonna put these back and like move them back onto the shelf to make room and bring in another set of stuff. So we will be right back. All right, I got everything off this shelf. As you can see, it's all bare and lame and sad now, but I have everything here, plus some other stuff that I forgot that I had for a second because it's on a completely different shelf in a completely different room, but I was doing something last time. I was like, oh, I need to do that real quick. So I have a lot to go through here. So we're just gonna kind of jump into it. Obviously, as I've mentioned, one of my new favorite series that I honestly probably will keep picking up physically just because I like this one. I don't think it's one I'll jump over to Shonen Jump for, and that is Dan Da Dan. I do have the first 9 volumes of Dan Da Dan. I really love this series. It is easily becoming one of my favorites in a post My Hero Academia world. And it's just so much fun and it's wacky, and yeah, the premise doesn't always make sense, but sometimes you just kind of have to go with it and hope for the best and just think, well, yeah, it's a little wacky, it's a little crazy. I think my love of the manga also increased with the anime and just the anime coming out. I think that dramatically increased my enjoyment of it. because the anime is just incredible. Dandadan, what a great adaptation. Science Saber is doing an incredible job with it. I'm excited to see what they do with season 2 and how that all shakes out. So I also want to go out and, you know, pick up the volume 10. I think we're all the way up to volume 12 now in terms of English releases. So yeah, I have the first 9 volumes here, as you can see, with, if I can do this without dropping them, I'm gonna put them down there. So they're out of the way, but I did go through them. Next up is another series that I did jump over to Shonen Jump to read, which is awkward because now I have like a bunch of like middle volumes. So maybe I'll fill it out in the collection one day, but it is another personal favorite, and that is Kaiju number 8. And here's what I'll say. I watched the Kaiju number 8 anime last year, and I thought, wow, that was really good. I want to pick up the manga. Where should I start? Volume 5. I said, oh, that's great. Start flipping through the manga. Wow. The art style in the manga is so much better than the anime. And I understand, like, when they first started showing off the anime for Kaiju number 8, I saw a lot of people who were upset at how, you know, the characters looked and stuff. And I was like, I don't understand why everyone's so upset about this, right? Like, I don't understand what the big deal is. And then I started reading the manga and I'm like, oh no, I understand now. Like, I get it. I understand why these, you know, these fans who love Kaiju number 8, I understand why they're upset now. So I am fully caught up with the manga, give or take the last like chapter that just came out. But I do really love Kaiju number 8. I think it's an incredible action shonen. It is honestly kind of different from anything else I've read, even though it is just an action shonen, and I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to season 2 when that comes out. Hopefully they'll fix some of the art style stuff with the second season. You know, one can only hope that that's what they do, but it is what it is, and I do love Kaiju, and I understand why everyone likes the manga, because the art style is incredible, and that was one of my favorite parts about reading through it, was the art style. So next stack here is one I am nowhere near caught up on these volumes. I am nowhere near caught up on the manga, even though it's over, and I really should be getting caught up on it because it's one of my favorites, and that is Oshi no Ko, which I've talked about a lot being one of my like new favorite manga that's come out. And then, you know, the manga ended, and I've heard the ending is like not great. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about because I haven't gotten that far. I'm still in season 2 and a little bit of the manga after that. But other than that, I'm like, you know, this is kind of good. I can get behind this. I like the concept. I love Aka Akasaka's work. I loved Love is War. I'm actually reading through his new one. I think it's The Marching Crown. I'm reading through that one right now just because I love Aka Akasaka that much. I love the work he does. Definitely up there with my favorite mangaka outside of like Horikoshi and Gotej for Demon Slayer. So yeah, Oshi no Ko, I need to read it, even if just so that I can give an opinion on the ending, because I've heard a lot of mixed things about the ending. I have a general idea of what happens, but I do have the first 7 volumes. I almost bought more while I was in Canada. I had them in my hands, and then I said, no, I don't have space for it right now, which is true. So we'll see. I'll get more of that. I need to read volume 7 anyway, because I haven't read it. So continuing the trend of things I haven't read all of them. This is a little bit more niche one that I have, and I'm okay with that. I'm not necessarily like super invested in getting all the volumes, but it has been a fun read from time to time, and that is Sword Art Online Progressive. I will sing the praises of the series, of like the movies and stuff. I will sing the praises of the manga to a certain extent, because the manga and the movies are very different from each other. And while I still think it's good, it's much better than Sword Art Online. There is still an element to it where I'm like, okay, well, it could be a little better. But I have the first 3, and then I also got volume 4 and 5 recently too. So I need to read through those. And what I do love about this series, and it's something that some volumes do it, some don't, is they're all different colors. They all have a different like spine color up here, and the numbers are all different colors. So I do really appreciate that. I think it looks really nice on the shelf. They're very colorful and very vibrant, and I appreciate that. This is one I desperately need to finish, just because I think I'm only like 6 volumes away from finishing, which is almost like $100 nowadays. And that is Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie, one of my favorite romance. I think it might be my favorite romance manga outside of Love is War. In terms of like anime though, I don't know. I do appreciate that the volumes are so massive and like the art inside is really big. It makes it so much easier to read. Not saying like the small volumes, there's anything wrong with that, but I just personally prefer the bigger volumes. So I have volumes 6 through 14. Don't think I've gotten any more since my last video. But I do want to finish it. I was kind of waiting for a manga sale, like those buy one get one 50% off, or even like buy one get one if they ever ran those ever. I was trying to wait for a sale so that I could go through and get the last volumes that I needed at a little bit of a discount, but I'm also out of space, and when I do long-running series like this, I don't necessarily want to separate them across multiple shelves, and I don't have enough space to put Shikimori as a series by itself. So I do have volumes 6 through 14. I need to finish it, even if it's just reading it online, as I've said. Also, I'm just gonna note this right now. As I'm recording this, it's downpouring outside. So you might hear a little rain. Depends on how the editor does the audio. I don't know if it's picking up or not. I can hear it coming through the window. And it is a little loud, at least to me. So we'll see. I don't know. Depends on how the audio editing goes. But we're just gonna keep trucking on. We're gonna keep talking about manga. Rain is not gonna stop me unless like all the power goes out, and then that's a different problem. So next up is I have the first 2 volumes of Drifting Dragons. I got this one recommended from a mutual on Twitter who consistently sings the praises of this series and told me to read the manga, not watch the Netflix anime. So I do need to go through and read both of these at some point, because I mean, the art looks cool. I like the concept of, I think they're like dragon hunters. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I wanna go through and read it at some point. I just haven't gotten a chance to. Before I move on to the big stack that's here, we're gonna do the miscellaneous stuff that I forgot about from the last time. So, I have Berserk Volume 1, haven't read it. Might not, just because I don't think Berserk is gonna be for me. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I know Berserk is like one of the classics of all time, one of the greatest, you know, manga series of all time. Like, it's just so legendary and tentpole. I don't think Berserk's gonna be for me, just because I flipped open to the first page and I was like, wow, what am I looking at here? That's crazy. I don't think I'm gonna like that. So I might give the first volume a read. It's hard because I read a lot of manga before I go to bed. This is not a manga to read before you go to bed. So that's why I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet. I do still have the first 2 volumes of Daemons of the Shadow Realm, which I heard a rumor that this is getting an anime, which would be great because this is author of Fullmetal Alchemist, character designer of the hit new Netflix anime Moonrise. If anybody else is watching that show, I've heard nobody talk about it and I'm really enjoying it. So this was really fun, very neat little experience. I think it would make a great anime. And I don't know, man. I really like the art style too. I think, okay. Japanese names are hard. Hiromu Arakawa, I think is how you say her name. I think she does incredible work and I love her art style. So very good. I need to pick up more and read it, but again, you know, financial constraints. This is one that I've kind of done a video on and is here because it is. And that is the prequel issue of Gabriel and the Guardians, the manga. This was in my Gabriel and the Guardians video. I talked about how it's like an actual manga and, you know, you read it right to left. I know they want to do more and like do more full volumes like this. But for a prequel volume, it is like really thin. As you can see, it's literally only 32 pages. But for a prequel volume, right, of a, you know, up and coming indie manga from like made in the US, I think it is it's really cool. And I'm glad that it's in my collection and I have it. Because it's a physical thing. And I'm wearing my Gabriel and the Guardians shirt too, because it's like the closest thing I have to a manga shirt. So I do appreciate having that. I'm gonna put that somewhere where it doesn't get destroyed. I also have the 3 volumes of Weathering with You that I've read through because it's my favorite movie of all time. I really appreciate what Makoto Shinkai did in fleshing out the story in the manga, and it actually really makes me want to get the Suzume manga and rewatch the movie and then read through the manga and just see how that changes. Because there's some things that Shinkai did in the Weathering with You manga that explains a lot of things from the movie that didn't get explained. Like, what about this whole sky ecosystem thing? Why did Hodaka really run away from home? Like, it gives a lot more context and development to his, what's the old guy's name? I feel like, fake fan, I don't remember the guy's name. Suga, that's his name, I think. It builds on their relationship and like how they parallel each other. So if you haven't given any of like his manga a shot that are based on the movies that he's done, I highly recommend it because he does flesh some stuff out in those. Now, these, I said last time I did this video over a year ago, I said, I'm gonna read through these and we're gonna do a video because, you know, it's a Christian anime channel, talk about all that stuff, it'd be great. And then I haven't because I got busy talking about other stuff. And that's okay. Sometimes you get busy and that's just how life goes. However, it is the manga, it's like, this one's Manga Mutiny, the other one is Manga Messiah. They are like manga retellings of the Bible. And like, they have, you know, like it's going through all of these different Bible stories and stuff. Like this one is all Genesis. And they have like all of the scripture references at the bottom. So you can see exactly like what passage, what verse are they going through. And I think that's really cool. And it's something that isn't really been done. And I want to get them all. They also have one for the Book of Revelation that I want to go through. And then I also have Manga Messiah, which is all like Jesus and, you know, Jesus coming in. And I think that's something that's worth telling because the Bible has a lot of really cool stuff in it that lends itself well to a format like this if you're adapting it accurately. So I do want to go through and read these and do a video on the whole series because I think there's like 6 books and they all cover like different sections of the Bible. So I do want to go through, let's see, if they have anything in the back that's like, hey, who's just like, oh, they have a manga Bible, that's cool. I don't think they have like a, oh, here's the, no. But it is really cool. I do want to do more videos on it because I literally have never seen anyone talk about it. But that's just on me for finding the time to do it. So we have a little bit more My Hero here in the My Hero Academia Ultra analysis. I know it's not a manga volume per se, but it is like still manga related. And I know the new one just came out, Ultra Age, I think, which I will definitely be picking that up once it comes out and gets localized and stuff and it has all the English translations and stuff in it because it has a new one-shot in it, which I read through fan translation and now, oh, it's so good. So yeah, I have this, never fully read through it, but you know, it is what it is. And then I also have one for Spy Family, which I also haven't read through, but that's on me for not having time. And I know they're not technically like manga volumes, but they're still, you know, categorized in the same place. And then this is something that's brand new that I was not planning on getting. Haven't read it. Shocker, I know. And that is the complete box set for A Silent Voice. I got it on Amazon for, I think, $35. It's the only box set I own, and it kind of makes me want to buy more because I like that they're all like contained in this little box. You know, it's a box set, and I can display them as such and not necessarily have them all as one, or like all as individual volumes. Even though they are individual volumes, you can, see if I can get one out here. I might not be able to without, there we go. But like, they are all individual volumes. And I've heard A Silent Voice, the manga goes into a lot more than the movie does, especially in the romance aspect. So we'll see how that all plays out whenever I eventually sit down and read through the entire box set. So that is something I own that I'm very proud of owning, and I love it, and I'll get to it eventually. So yeah, all right. now that I've got all that out of the way, time for arguably the biggest chunk and the biggest section of this video, and you probably knew it was coming, in My Hero Academia. So, I am not gonna spend 10 years on all of this because, let's be real, what else can I say about My Hero other than I really love it? So, I'm just gonna go through, I have the 40 volumes that are out as of the time of recording this video. By the time, if we ever get around to doing a video like this next year, I'll have all of the volumes because there's only 41 and 42 left, which I was gonna wait to make this video until they came out so that I could have the whole collection, but then I was like, it's not worth it. So starting us off at the very beginning is Volume 1, the classic, the one that I also have the Japanese version up there. Volume 1. Volume 2, a lot of these volumes I bought secondhand because I didn't have a full My Hero collection. I bought Volume 1, this one was brand new. But then I think Volume like 2 to 14 are all secondhand volumes. So, and what I do want to do at some point is go through and do a volume cover tier list. Because I think, wow, that was scary. I think Horikoshi has a lot of really good volume covers that I think get overlooked and underrated. And I'll get to some of my favorites here in a second as we keep going. But I do think, like this one, like I never see anybody talk about the cover for Volume 7. And it's such like a different art style, right? Like it's so different. I never see anybody talk about the cover for Volume 7. And like the cover for Volume 8, I think is also pretty neat and cool, and I like that one. The cover for Volume 9, like some of these early volume covers are really cool, and I don't see enough people talk about how cool they are, because we get so lost in the newer ones that are like all hip and cool, and you know, like, I just think it's interesting to like go through now that we've gotten all of the volumes and see all of the different covers that Horikoshi has done, and how, you know, that influenced his art style. And you can kind of watch his art style change over the course of the 10 years he did My Hero, right? So I love some of these covers. Volume 13, I think it was the last one I got secondhand. Because at Volume 14, I started buying in, this is where I started reading the manga. It was right after Season 3 finished, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna read the manga. And then I did. So this is one of the weaker covers, I think. It's weird how Deku's like almost photoshopped on there. And I also think Volume 15 has kind of a weak cover. But everything after that, like these volumes for the overhaul arc, incredible, impeccable. I love these. These are some of my favorite covers. Which is also why I think doing a tier list for these would be so hard, because I love so many of the covers. Like this is another personal favorite. Just because I love the art style. I also have so much like nostalgia for these volumes just because of where I was at in life when I read them. And, you know, I remember ordering these and then having to wait the 3 months for the next volume to come out and then binge reading it all in one day and then being like, all right, now I gotta wait for the next volume to come out and then binge reading it all in one day. And then, you know, just so on and so forth. And I think this is where, like, 20 and on is where Horikoshi's art really started to go crazy and really started to pop off. Let me move this stack out of the way, move the next stack in. So yeah, like Volume 22. I think this is also a cover that gets underrated and overlooked a lot. I really like that one. Volume 23, it's all right. Like, it's nothing too crazy. Volume 24, I like that they did a whole cover for the villains. That's pretty sick. I like My Villain Academia, okay? I think it's a good arc. I think it gets unnecessarily hated on just because of how it was adapted in the anime, which is fair. I'm not a big fan of the anime adaptation. Where does Volume 26 end? I'm just curious. Oh yeah, it's like the start of the war. Yeah. So this is also a good cover. I think, man, Horikoshi has so many good covers. Can we get him to just do manga art instead? Like, he's a good writer. I love his writing, but also, like, could you imagine if he was just doing the art and not the writing? Like, his art would look crazy. Or even put him on a monthly schedule instead of the weekly Shonen Jump shackles. Dude, Horikoshi could go crazy on just art alone. So we're up to what, the volume 29? All right, we're almost there. My Hero is the single series that I own the most volumes of, at 40. Which I just got volume 40 recently. I think I got volume 40 in Canada. I think that was the other one I got. I love this cover. I know there's a note in here somewhere where Horikoshi talks about, it was like a little snippet with Deku and Lady Nagant, where he talks about how, you know, the cameraman wanted to have a more like traditional movie poster style cover, and that's how we ended up with this cover. I want to see if I can find it. I think it's in here. I might be wrong. Maybe not. Maybe, wait. Nope, not that. Nope, hold on. Hold on, gang. It's either in here or it's not. If not, I'm going crazy and you guys can correct me. I might be wrong. I don't know. I've seen it somewhere in an interview that he wanted to do like a more traditional, like 80s, 90s style movie poster, and I love it. I think that turned out great. Wow, I'm just flipping these volumes around, dude. It's because they're so light. It's because I don't have to worry about like dropping them or anything. He says as he's dropped like a bunch of different volumes. This is another one of my personal favorite covers. I know some people don't like it because it's just a white background and it's kind of plain except for the art itself. But I think that's fine because the white background allows it to accentuate the art that's on there. And some of these War Arc, like these final covers are crazy and very neat. I like this one a lot. I've seen the alternates for this one too, like some of the other design ideas he went through, and I think they're really cool. This one of Toga is really neat. And then we got we got the 3-pack, All Might looking like he's about to drop the hardest album of all time, the most insane diss track. And then this is where I've ended for now with volume 40. And this is like right where I think the anime is gonna pick up in season 8. So we got 3 volumes left, and that's crazy. So that is all of the My Hero. There's just so many to go through, and there's only 2 volumes left in English, and then I'll have them all. I'll have the complete My Hero Academia from start to finish, and at that point I might do a reread and just see how it turns out. So that's all that. I'm gonna put, like I said, just like last time, I'm gonna put all of this back on the shelf, and then we're gonna pull out the last shelf, go through that, and then that'll be my entire manga collection for 2025. So let's just jump right into that. All right, as you can see, last shelf is empty. We're gonna wrap this up, finish it out with the last set here. A lot of favorites, actually, now that I think about it. A lot of series I've either finished or just gone through in their entirety. So let's just jump right into it, because also my microphone battery is not fully charged and I don't know how long it's gonna last, so we're just gonna go for it. I have Kaguya-sama Love is War Volume 1. Now, you'd think you'd have Volume 2, right? No, I don't, because I actually bought this for a friend and then they didn't like it, so they sent it back to me and said, because I bought it for them, and I said, hey, would you want to read this? And they said no, like, or no, I think they read it and then got to the end of it and they were like, well, this might be one of the worst things I've ever read. I know, don't worry, I was just equally as offended. So they sent me back this copy, so I have volume 1 now, and then I have volume 14 on, which is where I picked up reading, because I had finished the anime and gotten all caught up, and this is where I, you know, picked up, and then I kind of just kept reading. Like the volumes just kind of kept coming, and I was like, when are we stopping? When are we ending? When is it all over? And I just kept going, and then the volumes kept coming, and I was like, this is great, because I really love the series, and it's really good, but it also just keeps going. So yeah, I've followed the series all the way through. I've talked about how much I love this series personally. I think it's easily, like I said, my favorite romance anime and favorite romance manga. I think the ending is incredible. I really like the way it ended. I felt like I was satisfied and got everything I wanted out of an ending for this series, and I think Akasaka did a really good job. I know some people really have a lot of thoughts about the second half of this series, but I also think what's incredible about the second half of this series, and I know he talked about this either in a like one of the notes for the series or in like some interview or something, but Akasaka talked about how what he was able to do with the series, and if you look, there's 28 volumes, right? And at volume 14, that is when, mild spoiler by the way, at volume 14, he was able to put Kaguya and Shirogane in a relationship. So now it's a pretty even split of the first half of the series is the build up to their relationship, and then the second half is their relationship in its entirety going on forward, and then obviously you have a resolution in the final volume. So I think that's really cool because it's something with a lot of romance manga and romance anime, what you see is the build up to the relationship, and then that's the end. You don't get to see them date, you don't get to see them get married, or they start dating and then there's a time skip to when they get married and now they have kids and you see like their happy lives, and that's great, but you don't get to see any of the dating process and the trials and the difficulties and the challenges that come with that, especially for someone like Kaguya and Shirogane. I think it's incredible that he was able to do that and still like keep the series going and go through all this stuff. And what I think also helps is the side cast is incredible. He has a really good cast of like supporting characters, and that also keeps it fresh because you're diving into all these side stories with all the different characters and trying to figure out their romantic pairings. So I just think that worked out really well. Next stack, moving on here, as you can see, it's Mashle. Mashle, I have a lot of thoughts about Mashle. I really like the manga. I think the manga art, Hajime Komodo has some of my favorite art now in Shonen Jump. And I never see anybody talk about the art in Mashle. I really don't see people talk about Mashle, which is also why I was so excited to do a video on it, because I love Mashle. I think it's a great series. It's really fun to go through. And it's also one of those that, like, yeah, the plot's really simple and it works with that. It also has a lot of slapstick gag humor, which I like. But I think there is story in there. It's not, you know, the deepest story of all time or like anything super crazy or, you know, revolutionary. I do have one gripe, but it's a massive spoiler for the series, so I'll just leave it at that. I like the ending. I'm not a huge fan of how we got to the ending. Like, I think the final fight is great. And I think all of that, it's just like what happens immediately after the final fight, like kind of to close it out. I wasn't a huge fan of that because I think it would hurt the series on a subsequent like rewatch or reread. But for those who have finished it, if you have, you probably know what I'm talking about. It has to do with the Divine Visionaries. And that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it. But I did take a little issue with that. But other than that, I still think Mashle is a really incredible series. I got to, you know, read through, buy all the volumes, finish it out, and just, you know, it was a good series. And I'm happy with where it ended, aside from that one thing. So Mashle is one series that I really enjoyed, and honestly, really looking forward to the next season, whenever that comes out. Who knows? Who's to say? It'll come out eventually. Another series that I don't have all the volumes of, and there's a reason why, is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I've had this volume of Twilight Princess for a long time. I bought it a while ago. One of my friends convinced me to start it. And then as I was reading it, I thought, maybe one day I'll play Twilight Princess. But then that day never came, so I bought volume 2. And then I bought volume 3. And I bought volume 4. And then I bought volume 5. And then I bought volume 6. So I have all these volumes, and right around volume 3, as I was reading, because I'd already bought them all, right around volume 3, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna stop reading the manga because I'm gonna play the game. And I was borrowing the game, Twilight Princess HD, from my uncle, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until I play the game to go back and read it, just so I like can experience the game story first, and then I have a lot more context going into the manga. So now that I finished the game, which I finished it, played it over on Twitch, you can go check out the VODs channel, wherever that's posted. Now that I've played through the game, I can go back, read the manga, and I'll probably get a lot more enjoyment out of it now than I would have if I hadn't done it that way. So we're gonna put these books down here, because they're in the way. So is Mashle. Sorry, Mashle, you gotta get out of here. You're in the way right now because I don't have a massive table. Maybe next year, maybe next time, because I want to do these videos like yearly. Maybe next year I'll have a much bigger space. We can actually like set up a table or something, and I can do a better video. All right, 2 stacks left. We're almost there, guys. Hold on. I have volume 1 of this romance anime called Perfect World, and I want to read it more. I really do, because I talked about it a little bit in the last video I did on the manga collection, where I was reading through this, and this one hits a little different because I had a really close friend in college who was disabled and was in a wheelchair. So like reading through this was just a little bit more emotional for me than I think I thought it would, but I do want to keep reading through it. I just can never find volume 2 anywhere. And like, I could buy it on Amazon, sure, but like I don't want to. I don't want to buy my manga on Amazon for reasons I've already talked about. Remember when I said manga is really heavy? I was really just talking about manhwa, because manhwa is really heavy. Which is fair, because when I pick up a manhwa, like the first volume of Villains Are Destined to Die, I look at this and I think, wow, all these pages are fully colored. This is like a pretty substantial, you know, like substantially thick thing for $20. That feels worth it to me. However, when you stack them up as 5, this is like, I don't know, the equivalent of like 5 or 10 pounds. Like, it's heavy. But I do have the first 5 volumes of Villains Are Destined to Die. I really like this. I've said it so many times. I need to just like actually go back and finish reading it, because there's a ton more volumes out now than there were when I initially picked it up, and I really like it. I think it's fun. It's nothing too crazy. I like the premise of her getting stuck inside the game and having to figure out how to get out and all that. So I do want to go back and finish reading it at some point. It's one of the more unique, because it's not necessarily like a, you know, manhwa self-insert power fantasy type thing. So I do have the first 5 volumes of this. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. Definitely up there, for at least for me, in terms of manhwa, up there with Solo Leveling. I think this would probably be my number 2. And then I also have this manhwa called The World After the Fall, which just gives me big Solo Leveling vibes. Like, I don't know which one came first. I probably could figure it out if I did, you know, a simple Google search, but they do feel very similar, and which is probably why I like it. But I'm also like, I like it to an extent where I'm like, oh, this is good. Maybe I'll go back to read it one day. So I only have the first 4 volumes of this one, and I need to finish reading it and get caught up. I think I was on volume 2 or 3. I legitimately, it's been so long since I've read it, and I don't have bookmarks in any of them, that I don't remember which one I was on. I think I was on volume 3. Let me look. If I look at the very end, I'll know exactly where I was supposed to be. Yep, it's this one. Okay, I'd finished volume 2. That's where I was at. So that's one. I'll go back. These are out of order now, and I'll read these eventually. Probably when I finish Solo Leveling, because this gives me big Solo vibes, and it'll kind of help scratch that itch while I wait for more volumes of Solo Leveling. So we are now on to the final stack, the end, the finale. There's a finality to all of this. I need to move this partially because I stacked these wrong. I need to get you off there. Okay, stay. Don't fall. Before I get to this stack here, I'm just gonna go over real quick. I have the 2 volumes of the Ocarina of Time manga, which is really good. I've thought about selling these 2 and getting the one that's like combine them together so it's just 1 volume. Haven't done that yet. Maybe I will one day. I don't know. But what I do have, and this is where we'll end for this year, this collection video, is all of the volumes of Demon Slayer. And as I've said multiple times, I'll just talk about this as I go through these volumes. I really enjoy Demon Slayer. I think it's great. I enjoy the story, even outside of the anime, because everyone will say, well, Demon Slayer is carried by animation. You can say that and think that all you want. I really enjoy the story. Yes, it is simple. Yes, it's not the most complex thing in the world. No, it's not trying to be the next Attack on Titan. No, it's not trying to be the next Berserk. But that's okay. Demon Slayer does what it does incredibly well. It has incredible characters. And even though, you know, the plot itself of I'm just trying to you know, turn my sister back into a human and I want to, you know, fight the demons. Yeah, that's all really simplistic, right? But it does a lot with the characters. And I think that's the biggest selling point of Demon Slayer is people don't necessarily like it for the story, they like it for the characters. You know, Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, Nezuko, Rengoku, Tengen, like all of these characters that people just love and they gravitate towards. And, you know, I think that's why people like Demon Slayer. And you can say, oh, it's carried by animation, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, do we want anime to have bad animation? Is that something we're on now? Is like, well, this anime has good animation, that means it's bad. Like, just admit that you don't like One Piece, or not One Piece, sorry, Force of Habit. You don't like Demon Slayer because it's popular. Like, that's, what a bunch of grifters, am I right? So now we're getting into the volumes that will be the Infinity Castle. I think Infinity Castle actually starts in volume 16. So all of these are yet to come with the movies that are, you know, the first movies coming out this year. That's very exciting. I'm really excited to go see Infinity Castle because obviously I've read it all as I have all the volumes. I want to go back through and do a reread. I want to rewatch the series up to the movie and then reread through Infinity Castle. Just because I remember it being... I just threw that volume on the ground. I'll get it in a second. Ironically enough, the volume I threw to the ground was the one with Muzan on it. What a bum. What a loser. So yeah, Infinity Castle is good. I remember it being a lot better than I'm remembering, which is why I want to reread it and just be like, wow, this was really good. And then I do have the one like spin-off manga that they did for Rengoku and Giyu and Shinobu and Mitsuri. And I want to go back and I really want them to do more like this. That's more like one-off, one-shots type stuff. I really want them to do that. And then I also picked up, which I haven't gone through yet, is the before Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. That just is like a collection of stories that Gotej did before Demon Slayer. And I really hope they eventually get Horikoshi to do one of these for a collection like this. So that, with this volume, with that is my entire manga collection for the year of our Lord 2025. That's where I'm at. You might notice a bunch of stuff was missing. Komi Can't Communicate, I turned all of those in. Dress Up Darling, I turned all of those in. Just because they were series I wasn't going to continue. And I didn't want to keep filling up space on my shelf. So, that being said, that's all I have for you guys. That's it. That's all I have. So, yeah, if you've stuck around the video this long, I know these collection videos are a lot longer than the normal videos just because there's so much to go through. And it's not necessarily something I can script. It's just something I have to kind of talk and see what happens. So if you enjoyed it, you enjoyed seeing all of that, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what is in your manga collection, what your favorite is, what you thought was the coolest thing I had, and just, I don't know, comment whatever you want. I love going down to the comments and reading them and responding to them and just interacting with you guys there. I also want to give a huge shout out to all the channel members because it's supporters like you that allow me to make videos like this, and I appreciate every single one of you. You can get early access to videos just like this, and you allow me to keep making videos like this. So with that being said, you can check out one of the two videos on screen, one being whatever the YouTube algorithm thinks you'll like, and the other one being whatever I decided to put here in editing. So that being said, I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.